Let's see if this works. Hello. Hello. Hey guys. No sound. No sound at all. When I'm listening to it on my end, it looks like I can hear it just fine. Still no sound. Can you confirm if there's still no sound? Do you have your YouTube muted? Conflicting reports. Well, hey guys. So this is my first YouTube live that isn't totally just a test that I did yesterday. And I've got the audio running into the web presenter now. I'm not sure how we're doing on the sync situation. Actually, I should check on that real quick. Audio looks good on my end. But yeah, so this is the Amira running into a Blackmagic Web Presenter. Providing video, and it's pretty cool. I'm impressed by it. I need to figure out a good way to set this up consistently. I got to change a few wires because the way it's running on my desk right now is a little bit of a mess. But yeah, I'm excited to be able to do this. If you missed the test yesterday, I'm excited to be able to start doing tutorial type stuff live with this and be able to do lighting breakdowns and stuff. So I think it's going to be really cool for that. Was in the other channel. I'm not sure what that means. Like, is it only coming through left or right side? It's a little odd if it is. But yeah, so it should be cool because I can talk about lighting. I can talk about just about anything. And I can do behind the scenes as well as switching over and sending you the actual camera feed live through here, which is pretty slick if you ask me. But yeah, so advice for upcoming young cinematographers. I would say that the biggest piece of advice that I have is to make good stuff, and to push yourself to make better stuff, and to take projects that don't necessarily justify being awesome, you know, quote unquote, and to put the production value. Oh, that's weird. Left channel in the microphone. Sorry. Is to make things as good as you can. And if you have a small company in front of you, or you have, you know, whatever else may exist, you know, even if it's a personal project, take what you can and what you have and make the best thing you can, and then use that to get a slightly better project the next time, and then make that better again, and just keep doing that and keep leveling up the work you're doing, and go out there and meet people and work hard and network, and that's how you get better jobs. So that's my biggest advice, is just to be intentional about networking and be intentional about making everything that you make as good as it can be, whether or not it always has the budget or the big brand behind it or something. Any other questions? Stream working okay for you guys? That's a question. It's kind of annoying because there is a little bit of lag in YouTube's encoding process, so I see questions presumably right when people post them, but for them to hit my answer to the stream is like 8 seconds behind, which is slightly suboptimal. Let me see what happens if I browser source, color source, display capture, text, video capture device, window capture, create new. Oh, look at this. So what happens if now I'm just playing around until I get another question. I don't see Premiere in here. Let's make it Safari. Okay. Now, is this going to push to the stream? Oh, now you can see what I see on the stream. Fancy, fancy. So now, to just make it even more complicated, can we rearrange picture in picture? Oh, look at this, guys. We're getting next level. Now, we can go through settings, blah, blah, blah. See, I don't know. This isn't working for me because I can't use the like menu button on my Teranex. Maybe it's because it's. I don't know. I don't know how to get it to work. So I was trying to look at that. I might have to call Blackmagic. Oh, do you ever shoot with Blackmagic? There's nothing wrong with Blackmagic. It's the first thing I would say. I don't personally shoot with Blackmagic often because I own an Amira. But I have shot in the past, and the Blackmagic 4K production camera was one of my favorite sensors. So I should probably just close this window and window thing. Go back to full screen me. There we go. Let me go back to the question. Sorry, guys. I'm still getting used to this. Blackmagic's great. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. My biggest issues that I've seen with them are more durability and quality control than anything. But I've heard that that's better with the Pro. So yeah, get whatever you can. Get a Blackmagic. Shoot some dope stuff. EasyRig helps my filming / aiding creation. Oh, hi, Matt. I think you're the Matt that Greg was telling me about the other day. I think that the EasyRig is helpful in that when using bigger camera packages, it allows me to be really flexible with camera position and movement in a way that is difficult to do otherwise. It's doable otherwise. So, like, I just shot some stuff in Toronto and we just did all straight handheld, basically with me living on the top handle. But it's definitely it beats on you doing it that way. But I would say that, like, for people with smaller cameras, it's not really necessary. Like, people ask me all the time about getting an EasyRig for like their C100. And I think that just regular handheld is usually a better bet unless you're really building it out. That being said, I think that a big camera on an EasyRig moves differently than a little camera handheld. And so look-wise, I would rather have a big camera on an EasyRig. Thoughts on the DXL? Big sensors are cool. I would love to shoot with one. Until it becomes accessible to me, I don't really have a whole ton of thoughts otherwise. But it's definitely interesting and a cool thing to exist. You know, people moving to doing actual cinema cameras with larger sensors is really interesting. So between the Alexa 65 and the DXL, there's definitely more options coming out. But, you know, sort of the ongoing situation with that, just gonna have to play with one, but I would love to. And so if Panavision wants to give me a free rental, I will gladly shoot a test. Have you used the screen arm on the EasyRig? I don't have one. I have used one. I used one on a shoot in Chicago a few weeks ago. Man, time's been flying by. And I couldn't decide if I liked it or not. I think it's helpful, but it's also kind of annoying. So that's a little bit, I don't know, I'm torn on it. I have to shoot with it more. I've debated getting one for mine, but I don't want to drill a hole in my EasyRig for something that I'm going to regret. So I will probably rent one on another job and take it for a spin and then make a decision. We did do a discount for a little bit. I don't think it's currently working anymore, but we should be doing one again soon. I'll have to tell the guys over there that we got to get that done. Is there anything in particular that you were looking for from Bright Tangerine? Sorry, I feel like I keep looking over at the thing and then looking back at the camera. But yeah, Bright Tangerine stuff is great. Where did I put the Revolver Atom's? Right around here somewhere. Oh, it's currently disassembled, but the Revolver Atom is awesome. C300 Mark II is a great camera. What are they selling for now? Because I feel like they were super overpriced for a while. $12,000. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it just still feels sort of like a lot of money for what it is. Yeah, I mean, I would use one. I don't have any problem with them. They don't like super impress me personally. But if you need like a dock style camera, then it's hard to beat it. Because I mean, it's sort of like that in that range. There's like the C300 and the FS7. I prefer the sensor on the C300, but I prefer the like overall specs and price of the FS7, which is sort of a thing to get torn at. Otherwise, though, I would just rather use the Amira, but the Amira is much more expensive than the C300 Mark II. Not clip-on. I have a Misfit, and I love it. I think it's right here. Gear drawer. Oh, cool. This is a good opportunity for me to show off a new thing. But the Misfit's great because basically it is a 2-stage matte box. But you can loosen these screws. I'm trying to do this without seeing it. And there's another one on the other side. And the back pulls out a bit, and it turns into a 3-stage matte box. Sorry, guys. This is really difficult to do mirrored. But so you have the opportunity to have 3 stages when you need an extra stage. Comes right down to 2 when you don't need that. It's super small and lightweight. It can be clamp on or swing away, sort of depending on how you prefer to work. But I have been super happy with my Misfit and would highly recommend it. The other cool thing that they have now is these new filter trays. So everything's mirrored again. So the old filter trays are pretty standard issue. Let's pop this guy out of here. We'll just pull both out so I can show you. So regular filter tray looks like this. Most people have seen them before, and you pull up on this little plunger to release your filter, which is fine, but it's sometimes a little bit of a pain, especially if you're like wearing gloves or anything. So the new version is these, and the way these work is you can still pick it up out of the tray and everything like this, but to open it, you just squeeze these little pinchers, and it opens and you can pop your filter out and put it away. So these are super convenient and awesome. So yeah, that's part of why I love the Misfit is it goes from clamp on to swing away. The swing away arm just drops right into there. And 2-stage to 3-stage, you can put top flags on it. You can do all kinds of stuff, but it's a super flexible matte box. Oh, I got to bring myself back now. Okay, cool. Let's go back to the other questions. What's on my Spotify playlist? Oh, a whole bunch of stuff right now. I was listening to some of the new Paramore. I was listening to some Need to Breathe. I was listening to Oh Wonder. I was listening to a few bands that we shot for Vivo recently. Arizona is one of them, and Jacob Banks is the other one. Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff. I have a very eclectic, I feel like, taste in music. I would love to do a workshop in London or host an event. I was there for BSC like 2 months ago, maybe it was. I got to meet some London people, but I would love to come back. If you can find anyone who wants to host an event, I will gladly come back over. But it's sort of just finding an audience or someone who wants to partner with that, because currently it's not really worth me organizing a big thing in London. But if someone wants to organize it and invite people, I will gladly show up and talk about whatever. Tips on exposure for C-Log. People overexposing for skin tones. Honestly, I think it really just depends on the look you're going for. So I would do some tests with sort of setting up a controlled situation. And the sound is coming through one ear. Sorry, guys. I'm getting sidetracked again. It should be sending stereo, so I think that is a YouTube issue. Unless, let me see. I don't think there's any way for me to pan this or anything. Filters. Yeah, nothing's, I don't know, that's weird. I will check that out some more after, but it should be coming through fine. But yeah, exposure-wise, I would shoot some stuff and like underexpose it a stop. Expose it properly, expose it over a stop, and then mess with grading all of it and see what you like, and how you like that tonality to fall, because it's really a personal preference thing. You know, some guys overexpose, some guys underexpose, and it really just depends on what you like. And so I think that anytime people, like, there's some good technical guidelines, I guess, for how to like optimally expose things, but I think it's a very sort of personal process. But yeah, that's weird that sound's coming through one ear. Let me check it again on this side. Oh yeah, it's only coming through the left side for me too. Ooh. Left side only. What was the first thing you shot starting out? I'll answer the real question in 1 second. I'm really quickly looking and seeing if there's anything explaining why the audio is only coming through the left channel. I don't see anything. Oh, wait. Panning? No. Panning is not... What if I pan this all the way to the... Oh, it won't even let me pan it. Down mix to mono. Let's try that. Let's see. Oh, wait. Panning? No. Now, see, this thing is where I wait for the stream to catch up to me and see if it starts coming through both sides. But you guys are... There we go. It's coming through both sides now, I think. Let me know if that reflects properly for you guys. I'm not sure why I was doing it that way before. Directors and ad agencies want to see out of a DP's reel. I mean, I'm neither a really important director nor an ad agency, so any advice I have is somewhat anecdotal. But I think that for me, when I cut a reel, I want to put out a vision, and a relatively consistent vision while being somewhat flexible. So to be able to show that I can do different things and I'm not a one-trick pony, but at the same time that I have sort of a specific voice and angle that I can bring to a project. And so my reel reflects that. I want to show stuff that shows high production value, and shows that I am capable of executing higher level work. And I think that's honestly really like the most important thing, is just showing off the work that you want to be doing, presenting it in a way that doesn't bore people. Yeah, I think that's kind of the biggest thing. I do not watch many YouTube channels, honestly. I probably could watch more, but for the most part, and this is probably a controversial thing to say on YouTube, I feel like most YouTube content is designed for YouTubers, and I don't want to be a YouTuber, so I don't really care to watch YouTube content. There are a few channels who are pushing that and doing higher level stuff, and so I want to be one of those channels. But most of what's getting done on YouTube lately is very YouTuber-y, and that just doesn't inspire me that much, honestly. So I don't watch a ton of YouTube content. The RE Trinity is really cool. It's really cool. It's a really cool marriage of gimbals and Steadicam, and I'm excited to sort of see what people do with it. But it's just another tool. You know, it's not. I don't think it's going to replace a Steadicam, and I don't think it's going to replace a regular gimbal. I think it's cool to have sort of that merging of both worlds, though, for when you have things that require a little bit of both. But it's also expensive, you know, so you sort of have to just be aware of that. Anyone have other questions? Let's see what's interesting in my internets right now. Maybe there's something else to talk about. Oh, red image quality versus ARRI. They're just different. And I think that at the end of the day, you pick the one that you like. Sorry, I bumped my desk. You pick the one that you like, and if that means you prefer higher resolution or some of the other things in RAW, you know, compressed RAW that Red has to offer, you go that way. If you want some of the stuff that ARRI has to offer, you go that way. I don't really think one is better, honestly. I just think that they're different, and so for different people doing different things, you sort of have to pick the one that works for you. And so, like, I loved my Scarlett W. I love my Amira. I don't really have a super strong bent. I'll shoot with whatever works. But for me right now, the Amira is both the smartest business decision as well as the most practical tool for the kind of work that I do. Going to college when becoming a DP. I have never been to college to be a DP, so I don't know how much I can offer on that. Other than that, I think that at the end of the day, to me and my experience, the most valuable thing has been working and learning through working and meeting people. And some of that can happen at college and some of that cannot happen at college. And so if you're really bad at that, college can push you to make that happen. But if you're really good at that, I think you can do it faster outside of college. And so my experience has been that I've accomplished a lot more outside of college, and both with work and learning and networking, than I would have if I were in college. And the money that I would have spent on college has instead paid for other things. And so instead of at this point I would be like a year out of college and probably have a lot of debt, I make decent money, get to work on pretty big projects, and own a lot of gear. And so I think for me that's something I prefer, but I think it really depends on who you are. Thoughts on China balls? Do you use them often? I don't use them as much as I wish I did, but China balls are awesome. The biggest thing is just making sure you can control them because they have a tendency to spill everywhere, but it's a super cheap, easy way to get soft light somewhere and just sort of bring up a space. And you can have them in shot and stuff and they feel fine. I've been wanting to do something where I would take a dowel and wrap it with RGB LED tape and put that in a China ball, but I haven't tried it yet. So if you guys want to steal my idea, but China balls are cool. Quasar science tubes in the UK. I don't know. Everyone has been asking me that. I guess they're hard to get a hold of. I know that there are retailers and dealers and stuff, but people have been having issues. I would just hit the guys at Quasar up. I think a UPS guy's here. Give me a sec, guys. Well, this is convenient. If anyone's still here, I got a package, which is from Lens Pro to Go. I'll bring the mic up here and refocus some of this a little bit. I apologize. I don't have a good way to just like tilt down. But hit up the guys at Quasar is the end of my answer to the Quasar question, because they would be the ones to ask, and I know they're working on some stuff with that. There you go. There's an answer. Favorite way of judging exposure in camera lately? I mean, honestly, I'm a little bit of everything. Sometimes I'm just totally eyeballing it. Sometimes it's based off of a waveform. Sometimes it's based off of false color. I would say most often it's false color lately, but sometimes it's waveforms. The thing with false color is it just feels like a far more accurate way to see what the values are of specific areas, whereas waveforms can give you a good picture of sort of how things spread out. But like you don't necessarily know from looking at a waveform like exactly what one part of someone's face is, you know? So false color is my favorite, and the false color on RE cameras is really good. There's also Red has something, I think it's called the Geoscope, that's dope. And it's like a fancy version of false color. I am sorry about your experience with Quasar emails, but I would maybe give them a call. I've had really good experiences calling them. But yeah, I don't know. It probably depends. 300D, probably a good light to invest in. It really just depends on what you're looking for out of a light. If you want a hard light that's a bright daylight source, 300D is solid. I'm hoping to get to test one out soon. Let me see what I can do over here. I want to like stick something under the camera. It's literally just sitting on top of a Pelican. I'm going to prop it up a little. What have I got? Let's try this. There we go. A little tilt up at least. But it really depends on what you want. If you want soft light, there's different ways to get good soft light. The new Quasar panels that I've been playing with are really cool. If you want hard light, then a 300D is great. I'm also testing out the Razor 7 soon, which is sort of similar to a 300D. And I would love to compare them side by side because I think output-wise they're pretty similar. From what I saw in person, I think that the Razor 7 might be a better like general Fresnel. The 300D is a more flexible light source in general. So if you just want a really solid daylight LED Fresnel, the Razor 7 is probably better. And if you want like just a super flexible, possible to be battery powered and everything light, the 300D might be better. Yeah, I mean, it's tough with the C100 because when you only have so many stops of dynamic range, sometimes it can feel like you're fighting yourself when you get darker because you start dealing with a lot of compression and just muddiness down in the lower stops. I do have a hi-hat laying around, but I didn't want to bust it out right now because I have to like put the head on it and everything, so I just put the Amira on a Pelican. The Amira t-shirt does not come with the camera, but is some shameless brand repping. But honestly, I think it's more just a matter of like gut feel than anything. I think that one of the things that I would say is key is that you can go dark and you can have things be in the shadows, but you still need enough contrast to be able to sort of push that curve a little bit to separate things. Whereas I think some people just take a low con scene and push it really dark and it just gets really muddy really fast. And so you have to be really careful about how you're using that bottom like 2 or 3 stops, 4 stops, whatever it may be, so that, you know, everything's living in the bottom range, but it's still separating out and you can sort of clip the very bottom of the curve to give yourself some contrast, but pick up the next part to have everyone living in that bottom section of everything. Whereas if it's just super low con, that can be an issue. So let's see what we got in these Lens Pro To Go goodie cases. Oosh. I'm gonna move this like stool that's in my way. My office is a super mess 80% of the time from like packing up gear and unpacking gear. So first up, we have a Sigma 135 millimeter 1.8 lens. It's pretty slick. I would love to do some narrative, but I like music videos and commercials. Honestly, I'll do whatever pays the bills right now. So, but I would definitely love to get into narrative. I think the thing is that narrative's harder to get into because even like smaller commercials, there's usually still like money and gear and stuff. Whereas narrative, you know, entry-level narrative, there's like often not a lot of resources and like bad stories and bad actors. And so it's finding a director and a project to tag onto that can be good. So I'm just sort of focusing on getting my skill set improved with where I'm at, and then making the jump to narrative maybe at some point in the future. But I don't necessarily dream of being a Hollywood DP. It could happen, but I'm kind of content for now with dabbling in narrative while doing commercials and music videos. I went with the Amira over the Mini because for the kind of work that I tend to do with like the Easy Rig and stuff, I prefer the ergonomics of the Amira and having audio and stuff. Sorry if this is loud. I'm closing a Pelican. And the Amira is cheaper. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I prefer the ergonomics. There are times that you would want a Mini, but most of the time the Amira is fine for what I need. And so we went with the Amira. Someone asked about the business decision. The Amira does not currently do 4.3, unfortunately. That's really the only catch, in my opinion. And then we have a Tokina 11-16, which I was actually going to get for stuff like this because I wanted to see it. Like, I need to get a lens, I feel like, both to use for like behind the scenes stuff, but to use for this kind of stuff. But the Amira rental rate that we can get in our market is way higher than like my Scarlett W rate was, and the cost to buy it wasn't that much higher. So I've made way more money relative to the cost of purchase on the Amira than I did on the Scarlett W. Let's see. Camera surgery. And now we're even wider. Oh, that's crazy. Hello. That's all the way out at 11. Yeah, the Alexa is 15K, but it's knocking stuff over. It's heavy as heck, and it is also a power suck. And like you can still, I don't know, like you can still work with it, but I think it's definitely most people are less interested in a Alexa Classic like on a job than in a Amira or something. Rental rates for the Scarlett W, I was getting like $400 or $500 a day for my package. But a lot of the times, honestly, people just didn't want to pay much of anything for it. Whereas like, we'll just, shoot on our whatever, because it wasn't that tempting a thing for them. Whereas I find a lot of people are like, oh, we can shoot on your Amira. Like, that's sick. We'd love to do that. I have no clue if this is in focus or not. Whereas the Amira, we can get over double that pretty easily. So yeah, some lenses and some filters. Oh, I've got an idea. Why did I just close that? We can talk about these trays again. So the new bright tangerine tray. This is so hard. I need like a camera operator. And I'm like way off mic. I'm sorry, guys. This is a mess. New bright tangerine tray. You squeeze it to open it. And so we can take our filter. I'm sure the ACs are judging me right now, but just for the sake of the example, seat it in, and then we squeeze that guy and it just drops right in. And now we're super solid. And what this guy is a 1/4 black Pro Mist from Lens Pro To Go, which if you put it on like that, you just get crazy reflections. But if we put it in our Misfit, presto changeo, now we have some cool diffusion we can use in front of the lens. 2-3 times cheaper than here. For the Scarlett W or the Amira, or both? Yeah, the cheaper. Oh, well, where are you too, though? You're in like an odd market, I feel like, aren't you? I could be way off base. There we have some Pro Mist goodness, except for I need the donut to cut those reflections on our Amira webcam. But anyway, I should probably bounce off of here, guys, soon, because I have to run some errands. I just put up a new Patreon video, and one of the cool things that we do on Patreon is critiquing people's work. So people do projects, and they send them in and have me give them some thoughts on how they can make them better and whatnot. So just did one of those. And hopefully it's helpful, but we'll be doing some more shoot breakdowns and stuff on Patreon soon. Dude, look at my arm. Looks like it's 12 miles long on here. But thank you guys so much for checking this out. Oh, yeah. I feel like Europe's probably expensive in general. But, yeah, thank you guys for watching. We'll do this again soon, hopefully with some more like actual educational content. I'll probably schedule it out and post about it on Instagram. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, you should do that at Evan Borsier. But I super appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this, and I will see you next time.